All right, coming at you live here from the ATX. My name is Mason Carmichael. I'm your host of the Box to Box Radio podcast. Alongside me, as always, is Moses Hernandez. This is our first ever podcast episode. Moses Hernandez, how you feeling right now about this finally being a reality?
I'm feeling excited. It's a little bit, like you said, surreal, but I'm glad to be my first day at on the job.
And you're doing swimmingly, by the way. You're doing a really, really great job here. We're coming here talking to you guys about all things soccer within the soccer universe. We're going to be hitting up, we're talking national team, Premier League, Champions League, European League, Liga MX, MLS, anything you guys want to hear about, we're basically got a passion for. We're going to be talking about it. Yeah, I want to start us off jumping into the title race in the Premier League because I feel like, you know, we're recording this on a Sunday afternoon. Man City play Saturday. We had Liverpool play Sunday as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, Mo, give me a little bit of an insight to the title race right now. What are your thoughts on just this crazy competition that's been happening between these top two teams?
It is exciting to watch, man. The fact that two strong teams are neck and neck now. Just a few months ago, they were at a 10-point spread. And now it's either a 2 or a 1, depending on who's on top, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, it's a little bit of a personal topic as well because I know for a fact that you bleed sky blue, city blue, my bad. And you've been a City fan here for a little bit. And of course, I prefer the only team to support in England, which is Liverpool FC.
Telling you guys lies.
Yeah, so producer Chris is yelling at us that he's a Chelsea fan, and we didn't mention him. Sorry, Chris.
Poor guy.
Yeah. We need to give Chris more respect.
or a decent win or two.
Yeah, for sure. But in terms of the title race, Moses, it's pretty close neck and neck. Considering the fixtures that are coming up, maybe the little schedule congestion as well, who do you foresee kind of taking the lead in this and ultimately hoisting the trophy at the end of the season?
That's a hard one. Well, given the fact that Man City is going to be having quite a busy schedule coming to the end of the year, they've got Tottenham 3 times. I think twice in a week in a 2-day spread.
Yeah,
jeez.
For Champions League and then league play. And it's a mess.
Tottenham isn't an easy team, man. They'll give you a run for your money. I think Liverpool had a more relaxing type schedule, and from what I could tell, but I think Man City's going to have some tired legs, but they do have depth. I think they'll be okay. Just being a little biased, I think Man City comes out on top here.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd have to be a little bit more optimistic and realistic as well about the lightness of Liverpool's schedule. So we still have to play Champions League. You got to factor that in. You got to factor in the United game that we still have as well.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, Chelsea, not United. And just all the injuries that Liverpool's had as well. And the fact that Manchester City has the most depth out of any team in the entire world and is up there right around with the best teams that have ever played the game.
Mm.
I being a Liverpool fan, man, I got a little bit of hesitance when I want to say that Liverpool's going to win the league because I saw what happened in 2013, 2014. Shout out Brendan Rodgers. We had great character that year. Gerrard with the slip, man. I'm still having nightmares about it.
Literally a step away, man.
Jeez. Yeah. Broken hearts live on the radio here.
Tears, real tears here.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't think Liverpool has the depth and the schedule to be able to compete still with Manchester City. And of course, if you're tuning in, you're looking at that table and you're telling me that Liverpool's up by a point or two. Got to factor in that game in hand that Man City has still, and they'll be looking to come back stronger after that. And I don't see City slipping up at this point. I think they're going to take it. As much as it kills me to say, I'd be willing to go on recording and say that City is going to win the league.
My man, you guys heard it first. The Liverpool fan himself says City has potential to take the whole table.
I'm sorry, Liverpool supporters of Austin. Don't come at me on the Facebook page. I apologize. We're going to be fine. We'll hug it out. We'll have a few brews. It's going to be okay.
No hate mail, please.
Yeah, so kind of moving on and going a little bit more towards the international side of the game. We had some Nations League qualifiers this weekend, and one of the ones I wanted to hit on especially was Portugal's game because not only was it a 1-1 draw, but Ronaldo came out injured early in that one. We've seen him have issues with that same knee in the past. When you go back to the Euros in 2016, he had to come out of the final early with a knee injury as well, and it really affected them, and they almost ended up not winning that game. But shout out to the GOAT, Eder, for having basically a walk-off goal.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right off the bench and into our hearts. But how do you think this is going to affect Portugal, and how do you think this is going to affect Ronaldo's future with the national team? I mean, he's 35 years old. It's not like he's a 22-year-old just getting injured and coming back from it. So what do you think?
Technically, they do say this man's got a 21-year-old body somehow. I mean, but in my opinion, I feel they did take him off for maybe precautionary reasons. He's got a lot of football to go this year. I understand that he's playing for the national team, and it's a pretty big deal. Don't get me wrong, but I think it was maybe, in my opinion, a precautionary sub just to prevent him from losing out on Champions League. Even who knows how long his injury date is right now, but I feel maybe they took him off just so he can come back and do his Champions League, potentially win the league for Juventus. I know they have a few more not friendlies, but a few national games coming up as well. I don't think it would have hurt to take him out for this one game, save his legs and, take care of the injury now instead of, like you just said, he's aging. He's not getting any younger. He's putting himself through a lot of stress, playing so much football at that age, at the top level that he's at. But I think they maybe saved him on this one, because who knows, if he would have carried on, he probably would have torn it, and like you said, it could have been done.
Yeah, and call me crazy on this, and fans, please get at us in our mailbag or on Twitter and let us know what you think about this. But I'm starting to think that Ronaldo's losing a little bit of a step as well. I mean, we saw him completely dominate teams and just wreck defenses as little as 2 years ago. But I feel like now that he's in his mid-30s, there's starting to be that little bit of a decline. And his body's not holding up at like it used to. Maybe he's lost half a step in speed. So it's an interesting one to keep an eye on, especially for the future of the Portuguese national team. You got a bunch of young guys in there like Bernardo Silva, Renato Sanchez, João Cancelo, even in the back. You got a bunch of these guys that are coming through and coming up. You got Adrian Silva that's running around up top as well. So
it looks good.
Yeah, they look like a good, more of a solid team than when Ronaldo was first running around with the Portuguese national team. But a little bit of a thing to keep an eye on to see how much longer he's wearing their colors, and how much longer, even if he may still be a starter in that for that team as well.
Yeah, I could potentially see him as a assistant coach, if not coach.
Yeah, take him to the coaching school of Apologies if you guys had to hear that. So Ronaldo, of course, he wasn't the only one in action past couple weeks for the international break. We did have some U.S. men's national team friendlies. We had, of course, their game against Ecuador and their game against Chile. Both kind of tune-ups for the Gold Cup going on this summer. Berhalter's finally, it's his first camp where he gets to bring the European players in. So it's not just MLS guys out there running around. He can bring in some of his heavy hitters that are playing over in England and Germany and some other leagues over there as well.
Absolutely.
So looking at these friendlies, it was a 1-0 win against Ecuador with an absolute worldie from Giassi's artist. I mean,
the physics on that don't lie.
You couldn't ask for a better strike, man. Chipped over the keeper's head. Not a single deflection was taken at all. It was just a pure striker's goal.
The way it dipped, that takes technique. You don't learn it anywhere else. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, Giassi's artist for president.
Yeah, there we go. That's the guy I want.
Oh, for sure. It was incredible. And so that one ended 1-0. They looked like they played pretty well against an Ecuador team that kind of sat back and bunkered a little bit.
Right.
So it's hard to break down the bunker. So that one was really good. And then you got the 1-1 draw against Chile, which I think you and I can both agree is a little bit of a harder opposition. They're a little bit more talented. You got Arturo Vidal patrolling the midfield. You got Gary Medel in the back, cracking people. It's a little bit harder.
He's tiny, but he will pack a punch, man.
It's a little bit harder of an opposition to go against here. So just before we get into some specific things about the performances, what are some things that you saw from this group that maybe you liked, maybe some players that stood out to you? What were your overall thoughts about the friendlies?
Honestly, they were very satisfying. Our first game against Ecuador, it To me, I went in just kind of, I didn't really have much of an opinion or a standard, but I was hoping for what I saw. And that was a lot of young legs pressing the heck out of their opponent. And that's what we need, in my opinion. They have the legs to do it. They're at that age to, fly like the wind. We played good football. I did see that we experimented with Pulisic being the number 10. I'm not saying it was bad. It wasn't his position, in my opinion. I strongly feel that he's our winger. His flair, his style. He has almost every attribute as a winger, And I didn't see him, I wouldn't say contribute much as a number 10, but it just, like I said, it wasn't his position. Honestly, as a national team, for the U.S. national team, I think we need to fix that and see who we can get as our number 10. I think that's where we lack a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with that as well. I was on Twitter after the game and was looking at what some pundits and a lot of the national team fans were saying. And before the game, it was pretty divided. You had people that were like, well, if you want your best player on the ball as much as possible, so why not play him centrally and put him at the 10 and see what he can do? And then other people were like, no, you watch him with Dortmund and he's best on the wing. Keep him on the wing. And man, even though he scored that goal against Chile from a central position, I still think that's an anomaly. I don't think that that's something that is going to happen week in, week out with Pulisic when we get to the nitty gritty of these bigger tournaments. I think he is most effective against good teams on the wing.
Yeah,
he's not the kind of guy that's going to want to connect a pass with you or play that final ball into the striker. He's the guy that wants to get some chalk on his boots, take a defender on one-on-one, stretch the field down the wing. And I think the best moment we saw from him was against Ecuador. He kind of had Antonio Valencia on an island on the right side and absolutely
his ankles.
just obliterated him. Yeah, he was just RIP, pouring out for Antonio. RIP, pouring out for Antonio Valencia's ankles. You didn't have to do him like that. Christian Pulisic, you dirty, dirty man. He's got a family. That's not something we want to be doing. But yeah, I completely agree. And you're honestly taking minutes away by putting him in the middle. You're taking minutes away from a guy like Sebastian Lletget. He's 26. He's in the prime of his career. He's a chance creator. He plays both sides of the ball for LA Galaxy. And every time he puts on the jersey for the U.S., he does pretty good creative things. I think he's a guy that would really thrive in that system under Berhalter. Yeah. And then you may be arguing like, okay, well, what about, Jordan Morris on that right-hand side or DeAndre Yedlin even or somebody like that? But I really, really think that Morris, although he's dangerous in behind with his pace, and he's been scoring some goals for Seattle, I didn't really think that he caused Ecuador that much trouble. I think Pulisic in that role is more of a wide force to drive inside and score goals and create chances that way will be a little bit better fit for the U.S.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And another hot topic of contention here that you and I were talking about this week was a one Mr. Michael Bradley.
Oh, man, yeah. That was
Captain America himself.
The poor man's aging, though.
Yeah. Divided opinions out there in the soccer world after the two friendlies. Divided opinions within the studio here. Mo, give us a rundown of your Michael Bradley synopsis.
I mean, I'm not anti-Michael Bradley, but I do feel like his time is coming to an end. I saw a few things that did affect the game in, what was it? It was the 1-1 against Chile. Don't get me wrong. The guy he's fantastic. Hands down. He's a great player. At his prime, man, he was doing what we needed for him to do. In the Chile game with the U.S., I felt like he was a little too slow at times. Like you were saying, you got Vidal, and then you got Mendel in the back of Chile's defense. They're just two incredible players that play at the top level of football. And I don't think Bradley can handle that type of pressure right now. There were a few passes that, he was getting pressed super quick and he would lose the ball. He would make a bad pass. But you give this guy a ton of time on the ball, he'll put it on your nose if he wants. That's just my take on it. I feel like we might need somebody else to fill that spot.
Yeah, I mean, this is a guy, he's got several caps for the national team. He's got, over 100 appearances for Toronto FC in Major League Soccer as well. He's won an MLS Cup with them. He played at Roma. He's played some of the highest levels of
learned a lot of football over there.
Learned a lot, played some of the highest levels of soccer that most of our national team guys have ever played. Yeah. And right now, at his age, he's early 30s. I don't think he's our future. So
No,
I don't
no,
think
no,
in
no.
2026 he's not going to be around. 2022, maybe he might be a sub guy, but you don't want him patrolling your midfield at 35.
Yeah.
But I do disagree with you on the fact of his effectiveness against Chile and Ecuador.
Mhm.
Berhalter in that role does not want a destroyer. He does not someone that's going to go out there and chop some ankles, take some names. He doesn't want someone that's going to be roaming around headhunting for the ball either. He wants a guy that's going to sit in front of the back four and is going to pick out smart passes to keep possession flowing. Because Berhalter's teams have always been possession teams. You look at what he did with Will Trapp in Columbus as well.
Oh, I loved it.
And Will Trapp is a guy that's gotten some minutes with the national team here too. But I don't think he's as good as Michael Bradley. Granted, he's 4 years younger than Bradley is, but at the same time, Michael Bradley is the best at what he does right now. So I think if we want to be successful not only in the Gold Cup but in Nations League qualifying, you have to keep Michael Bradley on the field for this Berhalter side, especially in the system that Berhalter plays where he needs his number 6 to stay. I've heard a lot of arguments and seen a lot of arguments for Tyler Adams in that position, which long term I'm not opposed to. I mean, he's been balling out as a number 6 for Leipzig. Had that dime of a pass, which Berhalter, I assume, was watching, and that 40-yard pass in that game with Leipzig to Poulsen, which is what Berhalter asked of his center midfielders to do. But at the same time, Berhalter has gone away from Adams because, in my opinion, Adams is best when he's able to roam and find the game. He's got 3 lungs, like he's an engine. He'll run around forever. And that's not what Berhalter wants. And I think that's why Berhalter played him at that hybrid right back center mid role, because he'll be able to chase the game a little more and come inside. I don't think he was particularly great in the Ecuador game, but I do think that is a role that is well suited for Tyler Adams in the future, especially through the next couple years and the next couple tournaments and friendlies. And then once Bradley's kind of aged out, I think that valuable tutelage that Adams can learn from being an understudy to Bradley in those national team camps will do miles and miles for his career going forward, which I think will really help the U.S. All in all, I was impressed in the 2 friendlies. I think that there's a lot still to work on, but the guys are obviously bought into Greg Berhalter's system.
And I enjoy that system as well.
I do too.
Very attractive.
It's very Guardiola-esque with having your fullback come in and overload the midfield instead of being a wide creator. You have your wingers stay wide as well, and it's kind of confusing. And the thing I like the most is that against Chile, we kind of played a little bit differently because you had DeAndre Yedlin in there instead of Tyler Adams, and he is more of an out-and-out modern fullback. He likes to stretch the touchline, get up and down and whip crosses in. We've seen him do it for the Newcastle. We've seen him do it for the Seattle Sounders in the past. So it's good that Berhalter is tactically flexible. I think that's something that we've lacked in our past couple managers. I mean, Jurgen Klinsmann was just playing people out of position in different spots every single game, and Bradley kind of had his established guys in his way of playing. I think that Berhalter is really a guy that is tactically innovative and will get his players to buy in. And this is the first manager that I've seen in a long time for the U.S. that believes more in the sum of the parts, making a greater whole than having some superstars out there balling out. So I really, really think this is a good step in the right direction for the U.S. Also, prayers up to Weston McKennie for some ankle injuries. And
poor guy, man. That's a terrible injury, man.
It looks like he's going to be out for a couple months, so our thoughts and prayers are with him. And also to Christian Pulisic, who got a little bit of an injury as well against Chile and is going to miss the next couple weeks for Dortmund. Prayers for a quick recovery for both of these guys. Hopefully Pulisic will be back to make an impact this summer for the Gold Cup, and we're hoping that McKennie's back for Nations League qualifiers. But, you know, we're wrapping up here in this segment here, Moses, but knowing that McKennie will be out at least for the summer, who is a guy on the national team that you think deserves a little bit of time, maybe in that number 8 box-to-box role right there that could fill in for him?
Ooh, that's a tough one, man. I really don't have one for you right now.
Yeah, I mean,
that's tough, man. I mean,
he's a hard player to replace. I mean, he's playing for Schalke in the Bundesliga. He's honestly one of our most consistent high performers for the national team. He's still just 20 years old.
Exactly.
Shout out to the FC Dallas Academy for producing a great one for the national team. And In all honesty, there's not really a like for like replacement.
I feel like there isn't. He, like you said, he's 20. He's at a level where a lot of our national team players aren't. And like you said, to make a sub for him, see that we've got a lot of work. Honestly, have to put a little bit more depth on our bench to equal a player like that. I mean, if he's 20 and playing the way he is, he's only going to get better within the next few years.
Yeah, I'm going to throw a name out here that I've been thinking about a little bit. The only player that I could see naturally replacing Weston McKennie, and even not doing the same job as he does, is a Christian Roldan. Christian Roldan had a very, very, he had an okay game against Chile. He's kind of man in the midfield, playing a little bit more defensively this season for Seattle Sounders. He's a little bit of a two-way player. Again, he's not the same player that Weston McKennie is, but I think he could do a job for the U.S. I think he could provide that little bit of creative spark going forward and be a nuisance defensively as well, kind of flying around. Another guy that I can think of that needs to get his form back a little bit is Kellen Acosta. Kellen Acosta had a great summer with the national team a couple years back. He was balling out with Michael Bradley against Mexico. Got that move to the Colorado Rapids, which got him out of his comfort zone when he was with FC Dallas. So I think he's a guy that could really benefit from this as well. But yeah, so that's it for this segment, guys. After the break, join us. We're going to be talking about all things MLS and all the action you guys tuned into on Saturday. See you after the break. We are back in the second segment here with Box to Box Radio, coming at you from Austin, Texas. In the first segment, we hit a lot on the national team and some of the pros and cons and highlights and lowlights of the national team friendlies. Now we're jumping into MLS. Mo, MLS is back, baby. We're in.
It's game time. It's alive and ready. It's a thing to be watching right now. If you're not watching, you need to be watching it right now. There's some exciting games, incredible blowouts. Oof.
We speaking of blowouts this weekend, man, if you are a fan of lots of goals and angry fans, you needed to tune in. All of the games are available. The recaps are available at MLSsoccer.com. All of the full games are available on ESPN Plus if you guys want to go back and watch those. Really, really good stuff. We're going to jump in first to the first game of the weekend, Viernes de Football. We're back with Viernes de Football, the first Friday night game of the year between Toronto FC and New York City FC. And Moses, this game was not even close.
Oh, man, I didn't know. I didn't know if New York was going to wake up anytime soon. A lot. They looked asleep, or either Toronto came out guns blazing, man. Jeez. Yeah. Just combining and the intensity that they brought out in the first 30 minutes. Oh, I think, I want to say Altidore who scored the first?
Yeah, we had four. It was a 4-0 rout here in Toronto. We had Josie Altidore with the first, followed up by a brace from new man Alejandro Pozuelo, and then bookended by Jay Chapman, the homegrown player, coming in and scoring that goal. Moses, I'm just going to be honest with you. For me, the biggest change from this Toronto FC team, who is still undefeated in the Eastern Conference, is the new man, Alejandro Pozuelo, the new DS, the new guy patrolling the midfield in Toronto.
Class.
He's killing it right now. I mean,
it was a great pickup for sure.
2 goals and an assist in his first game, and the dirty little Panenka chip down the middle for the penalty kick.
These weren't just little tap-in goals. These were, really well orchestrated goals. Skill from things that people from the MLS haven't even seen. I don't think they shell-shocked.
This guy had it all. Giovinco, who? I mean,
right?
These fans have been crying for a creative player since they sold Giovinco to Al Ahly in the summer. They sold off Victor Vasquez as well. They're looking for a guy kind of to take on a little bit of a creative and scoring responsibility, and this dude stepped up.
Yeah, I think they got a like for like on this one. I personally agree. I think they got a like for like. His style, his intensity. Goodness, man. I'm glad he had a great debut the way he did.
Yeah, doing a little bit of a Carlos Vela impression there with whipping the ball with his left foot into the back post. Sean Johnson, sorry about you. Hit us up. We'll get you a gift basket or something. But, geez, not much more to say about this Toronto game. They absolutely masterclass this New York City team that was missing key pieces. They had Maxi Morales out, who's one of their better guys and one of their creative hubs. This New York team desperately needs to get a focal point. I feel like where they lacked in their game was they didn't really have a striker to draw away the
No.
defenders. Hopefully their new guy, Aber, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Something like
They
that.
signed him to bring him in as kind of that solution up top, although he's been touted more of a left winger, kind of like a Thierry Henry type is what I've been hearing. We'll see if he can help them out because this team, honestly, they got a lot of talent. They need somebody up top to create some space.
Yeah, they're struggling. Like I said, in the 4-0 loss that they had, they just didn't look alive. They didn't look in sync, like you were saying. They lacked a lot. Their defense and their mids were just kind of off cue in this game, I felt. Either that or Toronto was just infiltrating and just getting in every way possible there. Altidore, I think, had a great game as well. I think he's
they're definitely glad to have him back.
Yeah, he phenomenal guy.
Yeah, for sure. Rolling right along here. The next game we had was Chicago Fire hosting the New York Red Bulls. We got a 1-0 win for the Fire, and Nemanja Nikolic finally amongst the goals again after being a little bit, we'll say a little bit streaky in front of goal in the first couple games for the Fire. Good, compact win for the Fire. They got their new man in, Nico Gaitan. He got to make a little bit of a debut. Pretty quiet afternoon for him, but it's good to see him finally on the field. Mo, what's going on with the Red Bulls, man? They've lost not only consecutively in MLS, they lost to San Jose last week at 2-0 at home in New York. They lost to San Jose, and then they come out and they drop points against Chicago after also dropping points against Santos Laguna. Mo, what is this team really missing Tyler Adams, or what's the deal?
Honestly, I think so. When Tyler Adams playing, he's a pretty key player. I feel they just don't have the like for Tyler Adams. It shows. They need him.
Yeah,
he's their guy.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, they didn't dip into the transfer market and go out and get somebody to kind of be the same role. They just kind of relied on the Mark Schakowsky to be the guy in the midfield, and I agree. I don't think the intensity's there. You look at the Red Bull teams of old, and that high press works so well for them, and they don't have the bodies around that can get it done for them right now.
No, they don't. It's unfortunate. Team has potential too. It's a team that I think could be mid-table team. Not going the way that they're starting the season out. I don't think that's going to be their position right now.
Yeah, definitely not much more to note in this game. The only other thing is the Bastian Schweinsteiger center back experiment is back, and for the love of God, Veljko Paunovic, make it stop, please. You're taking one of the best midfielders that's ever played the game and playing him out of position. And I know he's told you that he wants to play there, but come on, man. Look at the results when he plays in the middle of the park and when he plays at center back, and it's a glaring difference.
On my fantasy draft, I put him as a midfielder. He's out playing my defense. I'm not sure what's going on.
Hey, man, he's getting you shutout points. That's all I got to say. MLS Fantasy, if you guys aren't playing it, join Moses and I. We love it. We get together every Friday, make our rosters, and pretty soon here next season we'll have a box-to-box league that you guys can join as well and play along with us. We'll be looking to give out some prizes for that as well. We're gonna go on now to we're gonna kind of fly by the New England Minnesota game, a 2-1 win for for New England, their first win of the season. Minnesota really looked like the worst team in this game. New England smothered them with the high press goals by. We had Jalil Anibaba and Brandon Bai for New England, and Darwin Quintero for Minnesota. Yeah, the only real thing that stuck out to me is that Brandon Bai was on Moses' fantasy team and got him hella points.
Oh, goodness.
This week.
That was, I'm not going to lie, I had to autofill in the last 30 seconds before the window had closed, and I had to put him in as he was on my bench. He was on my bench, and that guy pulled out 10 points for me.
So yeah, just kind of a gut feeling, man. Sometimes you get those. Fantasy Nostradamus, Moses Hernandez over here.
That's right.
Yeah, I think we're going on now to the two most interesting games of the weekend for me. Sporting Kansas City went out and scored a touchdown and converted the extra point against a very, very poor Montreal Impact team on the day who was without Nacho Piatti. I mean, the goals in this one, the lone consolation goal at the end came from Safir Taider, who now has 3 goals so far this season. But come on, Sporting Kansas City, come on. Johnny Russell with 2, Gianluca Busio with one, Felipe Gutierrez with one, and of course the hat trick from Christian Namath. Shout out to anybody who predicted Namath would go off this weekend as well. He probably got you a ton of fantasy points. Moses, walk me through this Kansas City victory. Walk me through this Kansas City team. What makes them so special?
Honestly, just this score, man, it's incredible. I felt like Sporting Kansas was out there just scrimmaging themselves, man. Coach said, all right, guys, we're having a scrimmage today. But honestly, the way that they played was phenomenal to me. The way that they were possessing the ball, the way that they were creating chances, getting it through the back. I mean, from the first 5 minutes, kind of knew where it was going a little bit. Just how they were outplaying Montreal. And Montreal hasn't really had the best, I guess you could say, start to the season. I think they need that one game that'll kind of give them their confidence up. And this one was not that game.
Yeah, especially Nacho Piatti's not having a great start to the year, and obviously he was hurt for this one too, and he's their most influential player. Not a good look. I think it's one for Remy Gard in Montreal that they're just kind of going to want to push aside and forget a little bit and kind of hang out. Same thing here for the San Jose Earthquakes, losing at home 5-0 to LAFC. And, man, this was not even a close game. We got a hat trick from Carlos Vela.
His first hat trick in MLS. Yeah, that is something to be proud of.
Charlie Candle with the first MLS hat trick there. That was great. It was an all-out LAFC domination. What were some things that you saw from LAFC that worked well, and maybe some things from San Jose that, man, they really, really need to work on?
To be honest, in my opinion, I felt like Quakes were just a little, I guess you could say, staggered in a way. Like, they were just kind of, they weren't as positioned well, and they weren't really working much as a team, unlike they were getting in. Their forwards were doing what they needed to do this game. Quakes, their back line was incredibly messy, in my opinion.
Oh, of course. Yeah, they got picked apart. And look, this is a Quakes team that we've been here for the past 2 seasons with the Quakes. Yeah. They hired Matias Almeida in the offseason, hoping that he can kind of turn it around. And with his man-marking style where
it doesn't work.
Yeah, with the players he have, I agree, it just doesn't work.
Yeah. I mean, you can't expect to play man-marking on a team like LA. You just don't.
Oh, yeah. I would not want to be the one tasked with chasing Latif Blessing, Diego Rossi, and Carlos Vela all around the field. Like, I'm sorry.
I'd rather do my workout at home.
I'm a little out of shape to begin with, playing men's league here in Austin. But, you know, even if I was a top-tier athlete, chasing Carlos Vela around the field for any semblance of 90 minutes it sounds like a workout in itself. Carlos Vela, again, proven that he's an early MVP candidate. Betashore pitching in with a goal there as well. And Diego Rossi with the other one. It looked like a dominant performance from the black and gold. Hats off to Bob Bradley. I think the 2 teams we just talked about in Kansas City and LAFC are your MLS Cup contenders as of right now.
Yes, if you're hoping on San Jose, you're going to need a few different prayers there. I'm sorry, but...
It's okay. We feel your pain. It's fine. We'll get through it together. We'll be okay.
It's growing pains. Don't worry, guys. It's just the growing pains.
Yeah, speeding through these as well. A 2-0 win for Philadelphia in Cincinnati, and what we can also ultimately only call the Typhoon Bowl. Torrential downpours in Cincinnati for this game. Sloppy conditions, sloppy field. Goals in that one from David Accam and Marco Fabian. Good win for the Union. They're keeping on rolling on. I think that FC Cincinnati just got to take a look at this one and just move forward. I mean, they were without Kendall Waston, their captain, and they're still having growing pains in the league. You got anything else to add on that one? Or
I mean, just given the conditions, they weren't playing the best conditions. Just wasn't in their favor, like you were saying.
Yeah, for sure. And again, not to take credit away from Philadelphia, this Philadelphia team has been reconstructed pretty well under Ernst Tanner, and they're playing some pretty high-powered, fast, counterattacking football, and they're pressing pretty well. And I want to give a shout-out to David Accam. 3 goals so far already this year after having a really, really rocky year last season. Let's hope that he keeps that up. Over to the other side of Ohio, we got Columbus versus Atlanta. And I got to be honest with you, Mo, I'm not really surprised about the result here. Atlanta 2-0 losers in this one. Columbus.
I honestly thought that they were going to be the winner of this game.
Really?
I had, to be honest, I had Atlanta winning.
Really?
At least by a 2-1, at least. But I was definitely proven wrong.
Yeah, this was another game where the weather really, really impacted. And I mean, both teams like to get the ball on the ground and play. And obviously, you weren't really having that with the standstill water and a weather delay.
I honestly thought the place was going to flood. They're going to play out in the swamps.
Yeah, well, goals here in this one by Pedro Santos and Giassi Zardes for Columbus. And, man, things just go from bad to worse for Atlanta. Do you think, I'm going to ask you a really bold question here, Moses.
Go for it.
Do you think it's time to start asking questions about Atlanta's manager, Frank DeBoer?
Not yet. I don't think so. I think that's too bold to say. Give the man a few more games. Give the man a chance. It's a lot of pressure, in my opinion. You're having to take the place of Tata, the man who took these guys to the end. They won the final. You know what I mean? In a packed out crowd like that, it's a lot of pressure, in my opinion, and to change the way you manage a team like that, it's not easy. So I say give the man a little bit of time. I think he can get you the result that you want. Atlanta, don't feel discouraged. You guys have a heck of a team. You just need to work with the new managers and see where he can put you guys in the right directions or not.
Yeah, I agree. Give him a little bit more time. I like that he changed the formation in this one. They were playing the 3-4-3, and they switched back to a back four, which I think Atlanta is more comfortable with, especially this season with their personnel. I don't really think that Atlanta fans are going to give him the time that he deserves. I mean, they come off winning the championship. He comes out in a press conference and calls them spoiled as well. This is not a good look for Frank DeBoer. And
maybe not the right words there.
Yeah, if the results aren't matching and they're not coming in for him, I think he's going to be a really hated man in the dirty South. Yeah.
Like you said, it's a different style that they're trying to play. The fans and everybody around Atlanta still have that championship high. It's fair. You can have that. Yeah. But it's a lot to ask for a new manager, and say that you got a new manager and you win it all again. That's incredible. It's not easy.
It's hard to expect that 2 years in a row in any league, any sport you're looking at. Colorado, 4-1 losers against Houston Dynamo.
The Dynamo.
This is a really heavily rebuilt Colorado team. Man, I just don't see it getting any better for these guys.
I don't either. Dynamo's been playing fantastically, man. Colorado, they just need some work right now. They can compete. They can. But I don't see them doing much better than how they are right now, in my personal opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Dynamo, who's just who's in fantastic form right now. But Colorado just isn't impressing much. They've got a little bit of work to do.
Yeah, I agree. And the goals are flowing for Houston. Memo Rodriguez, the homegrown player, has been a revelation this season for them. Albert Ellis and Mauro Manotas are still having breakout years too. And Colorado, man, that defense is not looking good. Looking slow, looking old, and looking porous, allowing
it's not going to get any better.
A lot of goals.
Right now.
Yeah, I completely
that's
agree.
Going to be there. I want to say that's going to be one of their weakest points right now.
I'd have to agree with you. We go out to Salt Lake City, where #PlayYourKids comes out on top again. FC Dallas taking it to Salt Lake 4-2. Salt Lake finished this one with 10 men. Damir Kreilach on a questionable headbutt on Carlos Grueso sent off. Goals in this one from Dallas. Paxton Pomacall, the 19-year-old from Louisville, Texas, with 2 goals.
Making his mark.
Barrios with 2 assists. The real highlights in this one. I mean, this was a vintage Luchi Gonzalez FC Dallas performance. I might be a little biased because I'm #Dallas till I die. Hit me up on Twitter, guys. I would love to talk FC Dallas at me. I'm good to go. But, man, I really, really liked this performance from FC Dallas.
I was, too. I don't follow Dallas as much as you do, but I see why you follow them now. Like, I see it. It's they play fantastic. Their speed of play, their transitioning is very, very nice. I mean, you got young players. You just said 19? You said
19-year-old. He's one to look out for the national team.
And he's over here starting for teams like this. Dallas is in fantastic form right now. If you can trust in a 19-year-old, you can trust that your team will come out on top with such skill like that. But yeah, real Salt Lake on that headbutt. Ooh.
Yeah, this is their third game this season in a row where they've received red cards. 4 red cards on the season for Real Salt Lake. Something culturally is going wrong there in Sandy, Utah.
It's childish, in my opinion. Like, there's no need for that. Get frustrated, that's fine. Get the guy in a tackle, or show him some physicality, but don't go on and present a headbutt. Whether he made contact or not, that's still debatable. But you just don't react like that.
Yeah.
You put yourself in a bad position, and then look. 4-2.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And also shout out to Jesus Ferreira with the second goal of his young career, the 18-year-old striker for FC Dallas, making a name for himself. Of course, his dad was David Ferreira, former MLS MVP and MLS Cup finalist with FC Dallas. Good stuff out west for that one. And then we take it to the nightcap that we had. The nightcap from the Whitecaps, Moses Hernandez. Vancouver Whitecaps versus the Seattle Sounders, a 0-0 draw. And I got to be honest with you, Moses, I am shocked at this result.
Really?
Yeah, with the way the results that Vancouver's gotten and the way the Sounders have been flying, I was expecting a Sounders road win to set the Cascadia Cup on fire in the first meeting between these two teams of the season. But it's not what happened.
It was a lot of back-to-back, back and forth almost. It didn't surprise me that, I guess you could say that it ended in a draw. You know what I mean? Just both teams just couldn't really get much going for each other.
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree with that. And it's a good thing to watch for other teams to see how Vancouver was able to quell that really, really dangerous Seattle attack. I mean, Seattle wasn't missing any of their stars. They got the front four of Ladero, Morris.
They had opportunities.
Yeah, Rodriguez and Ruidiaz, and none of them really threatened in this game.
They really didn't.
Shout out to first-year coach Mark Dos Santos for everything he's doing with Vancouver. I think there's more good stuff to come with them. I think they're trending upward currently.
Yeah.
So this is being recorded on Sunday at mid-afternoon. We got two games coming up this evening. We got Orlando City hosting DC United at 6:30 Eastern, 5:30 Central. That one is on FS1. And then at the late game tonight at 9 o'clock, we have in Los Angeles, the Galaxy hosting the Portland Timbers on ESPN2.
That will be interesting.
Yeah, 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central. Mo, what are your picks for these two games?
I call Orlando City on top of DC United 2-1.
Really?
Yeah. I think playing at home will give them a bit of – it'll give them the advantage, obviously, home field advantage. They've got a great fan base, to be honest. But honestly, I feel like they play pretty good at home. So I think a 2-1 isn't jumping it too far. And then going to LA and Timbers, again, I think LA is going to come out on top of that one. I'll say 2-0.
2-0, really?
2-0.
I'm going to go with a draw in Orlando versus DC. I think a 1-1 draw. Lucho and Rooney playing up front together. I think they'll nick a goal on the road. And, Dom Dwyer's been a creature in the box so far this season. I think he'll get one too.
Although I do want to see more from Nani, though.
I do.
I want to see him kind of explode, and that's why I'm kind of being biased here. I enjoyed Nani at his prime, and I'm kind of just rooting for him right now. It is his first season in MLS. All these other stars like Ibra and Rooney, they set their stamp in the MLS their first season. So I'm kind of rooting for Nani here to kind of step up and set his mark already. That's why I'm kind of giving it to them.
Yeah, I think you've seen good things so far, different things from Nani. I mean, before the game last week where they got the win, he pulled them all in, and they had a players meeting, and he's been given the armband and the trust by that coaching staff to I think bring the best out of that team. So we'll see what happens there. Yeah. As far as LA Portland, my prediction, I'm going to go 2-0 LA as well.
Yeah.
I think there's a chance that we see Zlatan in this game back from injury. There's a chance we see Alessandrini. They just got a stacked midfield. Joe Corona, Gio Dos Santos.
The young gun.
Sebastian Leggett we've been looking at as well. Antuna on one wing as well. This
the young
team.
Gun
Efrain Alvarez, I think, will make an appearance off the bench,
I
too.
hope so. I honestly think that would be nice to see. His first game coming off the bench and putting in an assist and being a creator of I think it was the game-winning goal, I think. I could be wrong. I can't remember.
Yeah, it was to Daniel Steris, that cross on the wing, and also the week after making former MLS Defender of the Year Matt Hedges look like a chump, nutmegging him. Great save from Jesse Gonzalez.
Give the
Unfortunately,
kid some playing time. I think he deserves it.
Yeah, didn't register a goal in that one, but that's okay. Yeah, that's our MLS preview for you. The one thing I want to go back and touch on before we kind of wrap up this segment and get into the end of our show here, Mo, we talked a lot about Sporting Kansas City, and they had the best result of the weekend. So I feel like it would be a missed opportunity if we didn't go and talk about their upcoming matchup on Thursday against Monterrey. Monterrey, of course, drew Cruz Azul last night 2-2 in Liga MX. Do you think Kansas City can do it? They're the last MLS team in CONCACAF Champions League. They're in the semifinals. They're playing in Monterrey in the first leg. Do you think they got what it takes to get through? Can they get a result in this game?
Honestly, yeah. I'm going to go with the MLS team here. I think they can go with the momentum that they have now. They're coming off of a 7-1 victory here. If that doesn't do something to your confidence, I don't know what will. But something like that, I think you have to go in strong. I mean, Monterrey, they're a very tough opponent. I mean, the Liga MX, it's not an easy a league. You know what I mean? It's a lot of competition, strong teams, and Monterrey is one of those strong teams. But I think given that Sporting has come off of a win here and Monterrey coming off a tie, I think the momentum and confidence is gonna play a factor a little bit. I think someone's gonna come out a little stronger, and I think that's gonna be Sporting.
I tend to honestly agree with you. I think Sporting can go down and at least get a draw in this game with the momentum. I mean, it's a hard place to play. Monterrey is in really good form in the league.
Fantastic fan base as well. Give it out to them.
Them coming off the draw. And I think this is an important distinction to make, too, about Sporting Kansas City's result. So they won 7-1. Up until the last 2 minutes of the game, they were up 7-0. I think conceding that one goal was not something that derailed their mentality, but I think it's something that is going to help them going down to Mexico this week, because it's going to make them wary that they can't shut off. They cannot shut off, even when the game is out of reach for the other team. They cannot switch off. So I think that was a wake-up call for Peter Vermees's men, and I do think they're going to be able to go down and get a result here.
Yeah, because, I mean, giving up a goal and you're 7-up, that's kind of frustrating. It's like you score your first 4. Oh, right. You want to keep that clean sheet. So,
Tim Melia.
I think you're right. I think someone's going to get a little bit of stick for that, and I think it's going to be, like you said, embedded that they don't give up. They just keep fighting.
Yeah, Tim Melia looked like someone kicked his dog after that goal got let in. He was not happy about that. That's all we got in this segment for MLS this week. Again, be on the lookout. Watch the games this evening. Watch CONCACAF Champions League that next Thursday.
There'll be some good football, I can tell you that.
Yeah, as Monterrey takes on Sporting Kansas City, all those games are streamed live on the Yahoo Sports app. You should be able to go find those. I still got CCL fever. It hasn't broken yet. I think that Sporting Kansas City can pull out a win here. We're going to go on to break. Coming up next, we're going to pay tribute to our hometown. Back here on Box to Box Radio in the third segment, we already hit on national team friendlies. We hit on games in MLS and a little bit of CONCACAF Champions League. Now we're going to talk about something a little bit near and dear to our hearts. We're going to talk about the city we love, the city where we live, the city where my man Moses Hernandez is from. We're talking about Austin, Texas. As some of you may know, Austin got its first professional sports franchise in the Austin Bold here now in their inaugural season. They kicked off a couple weeks back, and they had their first ever home game this past Saturday. So Moses actually watched that game, and a little bit of Austin pride in him as well. Mo, what were some things that you liked from the Bold, and how excited are you to have a professional team finally in your hometown?
It's actually really exciting. The fact that we're given another chance to have a professional team, and Austin FC coming just along the corner as well. It's really nice to have. Last night's game, watching it, I felt San Antonio was going to take away the W, but the way Austin Bold played was just it wasn't too bad. They have their own style. It's not bad. One person that did stand out to me was McFarland, their right back.
Yeah, it's just a guy. I think I noticed that a little bit too. Not afraid to get forward. I believe he got the assist on the goal as well. I agree. I think he was a good guy. For me, shout out to my main man, Amobi Akugo. I will die on the Amobi Akugo hill. He is one of my favorite MLS players that I've seen. Guy that's always been kind of underrated, underappreciated where he's been. I'm a huge Amobi Akugo stan. Definitely going to get his name on the back of my Bold jersey. And I thought that he looked good in the heart of that team and in the center of the park last night as well.
Austin Bold game wasn't bad at all. Getting our first home game win is very, very vital to the history of the club now. A lot of teams don't get a chance to take home the victory on their first home game, and Austin Bold did. They set their stamp. They can compete, man. They're a strong team. They're quick on the wings. Like I was saying, McFarland, he had the assist on the corner of their first goal. Went off his head, and I think it was Mr. Kleber who put in the goal in the back of the net.
He's been scoring in bunches for this bold team in preseason.
He has.
He looks like he's a good fit. A little bit of an older player, but
it comes with experience.
If he's hitting the onion bag every single game, I mean, he's doing something right for sure. A little bit of a funny thing here as well. Left back here is for San Antonio FC was Moises Hernandez. We got Moses Hernandez in studio. We got to do a segment on that sometime. We got to bring Mo in. Moises Hernandez, FC Dallas Academy player, loaned out to San Antonio FC. I thought he had a pretty good game last night. And just for the banter, we got to bring him on the show. We got to bring Moises Hernandez on the show, have him and Moses talk, and maybe they have common things about people mispronouncing their names, or maybe some people thought that one of them was the other one. I don't know. I don't know how many different Moises or Moses Hernandezes there are in the world, but we definitely got to get that thing going.
Yeah, one thing that I did like about Austin Bold is how they shut down Billy Forbes. Billy Forbes has been in the USL for quite a while, and he's a threat on whatever team that he's on. He is a threat. He's got insane pace. He's just able to put the ball away.
Yeah,
with that left foot of his.
Yeah, dude
the almighty
ball.
Left foot, man. He did it for Phoenix. He did it for San Antonio, and now he's back at San Antonio.
Yeah,
I see why they keep, why they want him back.
Yeah, dude is incredible for sure. Yeah, do you think this will be kind of a burgeoning rivalry here in Central Texas? I mean, San Antonio's been in USL for quite a while. They've changed ownership. They went from NASL to USL. They're kind of a little bit burnt out with the city of Austin as well because of the MLS team coming in and San Antonio's push for a while to get a team. What do you think's in store for this rivalry?
I think, honestly, it'll be a nice rivalry. A healthy one. I hope there's nothing too crazy. To be honest, Restrepo and his former player Forbes, they actually did get into it I think, in the last dying minutes of the game. But I think, obviously, that's just knowing that your teammate or your ex-teammate is playing against you, and you want to poke at him a little bit. But I mean, that just comes with the game. It was nice to see that kind of intensity and rivalry. It'll be a very good competitive rivalry, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Great result for the Bold. A 1-0 win at home opener. Just not a lot more to say. Good atmosphere. Excited to have him in Austin. And Mo, I'm also really excited about the introduction and confirmation a couple months back of Austin FC becoming the first Major League Soccer team to ever play in Austin. I'm pumped about it. The McCalla Place Stadium down by the Domain is going to be popping. There's talks of a queso fountain and a grackle statue. These people are going nuts for their soccer down here, Mo. What are you looking forward to? What are some things that you're interested in about this franchise?
I think we're ready for it. I think that it's well needed here to grow not only football in Austin, but in the United States as well. It's a very big, popular city, and I think that we're ready for it. I think that the fans, the community is ready for it, and I think a lot of the youth teams are going to be excited about the academy opening up for them. Or it already has, actually, hasn't it?
Yeah, Tyson Wall is their academy director. Of course, longtime player with Seattle Sounders and the Columbus Crew, coming over, moving here to Austin. Good hire by them. I think they're going to have a really good grassroots academy here, which is great. Yeah, I'm excited for them to begin play. I think they're going to have a pretty competitive team. Andy Luhane, their kind of VP operations, he alluded to in a meeting at the Haymaker Bar in Austin this past week that they're looking for a certain dynamic of designated players. So I'm going to give you the dynamic that he said he's looking for. I want you to throw out a couple names of players that you think would kind of fit in this first ever designated player mold for Austin. And for our listeners that aren't really familiar with the designated player rule, MLS allows for there to be 3 players per team that make over the max salary hit of $150 million. And so we're looking for those big name guys, your Zlatans, your Rooneys, your Giovincos, your David Villas, and what have you. So, Mo, they said they're looking for someone in their prime, preferably someone that's a goal scorer, and somebody that has either a Latin American, a South American, or a Mexican heritage to kind of pull forward the Hispanic demographic in Austin and get them tied in and bought in and ready to go. So give me 3 names of people that you think that could really fit that demographic.
They got me. I'm still a free agent, guys. Shout out. Hashtag we'll play for food. No. In all honesty, I feel Chicharito. I think he's a pretty big candidate, if not the candidate. Let's see who else. Jonathan Dos Santos, brother? Giovanni Dos Santos. He is I believe he's a free agent right now, but I could see potential him coming out and playing for Austin FC. I wouldn't be upset with that. And then as my third, that's tough, man. That's
maybe like Andres Guardado kind of player as well. I think he might be a good fit. Maybe, man, I'm brainstorming here, kind of like some off the wall South American signings. Maybe a James Rodriguez. I don't know. I'm dreaming big.
I wouldn't be upset if they even put Ochoa in for goal.
That's a good call as well.
Yeah.
Everybody.
I mean, he's had quite a few caps in some pretty high level teams. I think it's only right to put a player at his caliber to come play for Austin FC.
Fill the seats up. They're going to fill the stadiums and hopefully produce a really good product on the field. I mean, you look at guys like Wayne Rooney that come over here in their early 30s and they start. They still have it. They still have a desire to play. I think definitely a Chicharito is what the fans are calling for. And I know the Austin anthem are going to be pretty bold and pretty loud with that.
Yeah,
I think that this team is doing a lot of stuff right, and I'm really pumped to get it started. Yeah, producer Chris is giving me the look. I think we're almost out of time here.
Time to wrap it up.
Again, Box to Box Radio. Please, guys, go follow us on social media. Hit us up on Twitter. It's B_B_radio. That's our handle on Twitter. Please shoot us your tweets, your opinions. Put us on blast, whatever you want to do. You can also reach us on email at 90min@boxtoboxradio.com. That's 90min@boxtoboxradio.com. Send us your questions. We want to start doing a mailbag here where we got listeners writing in, and we can dedicate a segment to answering you guys' questions, because we know that people in Austin have a lot of stuff to say, and even people across the United States have opinions to say. Whether it's about
feedback,
the local game, their favorite European team that we're not talking about enough, like we're here for it. We're here for whatever kind of mail you guys want to send us. We'll be doing some giveaways and stuff as well through the mailbag, so be on the lookout for that. Mo, it's been a great first show.
It was good.
I'm excited.
It was a good one.
It was a good podcast. Again, I'm Mason Carmichael here with Moses Hernandez. We'll see you guys next week.